President Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort, Manafort's former business associate Rick Gates and Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos have all been charged in the special counsel's investigation into Russian election interference. Jenny Stars/The Washington Post. The revelation Monday of charges against 3 former Trump campaign officials in special counsel Robert S. Mueller III's probe into possible Russian influence in American politics delivered a sharp jolt to the news cycle. Anticipation over the arrests had been high for days after news that the first charges in Mueller's investigation were imminent had seeped out over the weekend. And the documents outlining allegations against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, business partner Rick Gates and former Trump foreign policy advisor George Papadopoulos, laid out what investigators had found in unvarnished detail. For most national media outlets, the news that 3 campaign officials had been charged headlined websites and front pages, and were the focus of most of the day's coverage, including in the traditionally conservative Wall Street Journal. But in the highly politicized media environment, where news is increasingly targeted to partisan audiences, the indictment story played out very differently on conservative sites, such as Fox News, Breitbart and the Daily Caller. Here is a look at the news as seen through a conservative media lens. The most notable conservative reaction came quickly, from the man at the center of the investigation, President Trump. Sorry, but this is years ago. Before Paul Manafort was part of the Trump campaign, the president wrote on Twitter soon after the indictments were made public Monday morning. But why aren't crooked Hillary and the Dems the focus? He added also, there is no collusion. Subsequent narratives echoed the president, downplaying the significance of the arrests. These transactions predate Paul Manafort's involvement with the campaign, conservative talk radio host Laura Ingraham said on her show. The idea that this is a bad day for Trump because it in any way alludes to a collusion with Russia, you've got to be living on another planet if you think that. She added this is a nothing burger. Some reports seem to hew closely to White House talking points. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the president's press secretary, said the arrests had nothing to do with the president, most of them took place well before the campaign never even existed. Fox News chief Washington correspondent James Rosen noted during an evening report that Donald Trump is far removed from the allegations. If there was collusion, any evidence or even an allegation has yet to be revealed by the special counsel, the network's chief White House correspondent John Roberts noted. The New York Post, which, along with Fox News and the Wall Street Journal, is also owned by Rupert Murdoch, had nearly dropped the story of the indictments from its homepage by the end of the day, focusing instead on sexual harassment scandals related to Kevin Spacey, Peyton Manning, and Harvey Weinstein. Many viewers noticed how the story was covered differently by various television networks. CNN Manafort indicted. MSNBC Manafort indicted. Fox News is it mongooses or mongoose? We talked to experts. Comedian Kumail Nanjiani joked about the disparity in coverage. Earlier, viewers pointed out that Fox News ran a segment on a hamburger emoji while CNN and MSNBC covered the indictments. Of course, other mainstream outlets covered the hamburger emoji story, too. Some news outlets played up coverage casting doubt on the integrity of the investigation, a long-running narrative that heated up on conservative media last week before the arrests. Rush Limbaugh opened his show on Monday talking about the Clinton campaign's connection to the dossier compiled by Fusion GPS on Donald Trump, a point the president has recently been tweeting about. The Washington Post reported last week that the campaign and the Democratic National Committee helped fund the research that led to the dossier. Ergo the leak on Friday that Mueller had an indictment, Limbaugh said. That totally changed the narrative, it changed the direction, and its purpose was to basically cover up and shift away to the side the Clinton involvement in the Trump dossier. It was a classic case of distraction. He added, and none of it, I can tell you, with ontological certitude, none of the Manafort indictment as we sit here today has a single thing to do with Donald Trump, with the Trump campaign or with Russian collusion. Alex Jones's InfoWars, a popular site and radio show that frequently promotes misinformation and conspiracies, led its website with 3 stories about Spacey, who had been accused of making sexual advances on a 14-year-old actor. This is more sour grapes and it's not going well, Jones said of Mueller probe, between advertisements for colloidal